Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I'm going to talk about the October pad news that was announced by Gung Ho North America. So, on a regular monthly basis, Gung Ho North America does various announcements, and I just want to share my thoughts and opinions, or at least summarize potentially the various topics they touched upon. So, first things first, they are releasing several new evolutions. First off is Super Reincarnated Archdemon Lucifer. And this Lucifer here can have up to 4 cross awakenings, which results in massive amounts of personal damage. That VDP may be awkward to work in together with a cross and a VDP, because that requires a total of 14 dark orbs. Not the most viable thing all the time, but at the same breath, that's a huge amount of personal damage potentially, and their active skill is quite interesting. It's a 6-turn cooldown that does a fixed amount of damage to a single enemy, so if you're button farming and it's one spawn, maybe that's enough, maybe probably not. And then you get 3 dark orbs, and then if your health is at full health, or if it's full health, you get 1 turn of damage absorb and attribute absorb cancellation. 1 turn is pretty cool, but the drawback is we don't have a good place to utilize it, I feel, because in Shura 3, you need 2 turns of damage absorption. You could use 1 turn of color absorb against the various faces that can spawn later, but that may or may not be an issue. If you brought a delay, you probably just delay them anyways, and you're fine. So this 1 turn's a little awkward there. And then in Dimension of the Mystics, or MD1, again, you need at least probably 2 turns to counter Blue Alberich. I don't really think you're going to one-shot him after he gets below 50% health if you don't. So I just feel like it's going to be a little bit of an awkward card to utilize at this exact point in time. But on the other hand, Super Reincarnated Ami no Uzume is actually quite a potent fire sub, because she can bring up to 4 skill boosts, or it can have a VDP, so she can be double VDP with double 7 combo with a VDP, which means she's a cleric who could actually have personal damage. She has the enhanced fire combos, which makes Rosalind's damage go up even higher. She helps you heal a bit easier. It's a great alternative to Gung Ho Belial, because the healing is probably enough, because you only have a 1 times health multiplier anyways, so this extra bit of healing from her is probably going to be significant, and she does have a hefty recovery stat. Her active skill is a 4-turn 2 times RCV buff, which is always helpful to overwrite various debuffs, and you remove all bind and awoken skill binds. That is definitely helpful. And then if your health is at 50% or lower, you reduce all unable to match orb effects. So this conditional cleric style active skill can be problematic because it's not reliable. Sure, you might be half health or lower, but maybe not when you actually need it. So that definitely can be a bit problematic, because let's say they void out your ability to match red orbs and you're not below half health. Your Rosalind team is just going to die, and that's problematic. At the same time, we do have options like Trelo, like Wedding Trelo. She does have unmatchable clear on a much more reliable basis. So having these kind of 2 partial-ish clerics is great for current endgame content, because they tend to throw at us lots of awoken binds, lots of unmatchable back-to-back, and having 2 different cards can counter it. Like, say, in Dimension of Mystic, you can have, I think, is it 10-turn awoken bind from Cammy, and then, I forgot their name, but in the subsequent floor, it's unmatchable hearts. So you either have to stall a little bit until your unmatchable and full cleric comes up for that possible second floor encounter, or you have backup options. The value of this card obviously hinges on what your other fire subs are. If you have another partial cleric or another cleric style active skill. But unlike Gung Ho Belial, she does have personal damage, which is meaningful in current endgame content because things are incredibly tanky. For Super Reincarnated Perseus, he has double 10 combo with a sizable attack stat. He can have potentially some TPAs or up to 4 skill boosts, or super blind resist, depending on his super awakening choice. So large amounts of personal damage, large amounts of movement time. The biggest drawback is it's going to be hard to utilize and fit on a given team. The reason I say that is because his active skill, it does generate wood and hard orbs while also removing hazards, but that's it. I guess the orb unlock is kind of cool too, but the point of the matter is it's just not countering mechanics. And if we look at his colors, he's green and dark. So we got to think of what are the other dark options if we're playing Shura 3. And for the most part, I'm going to just say Nautilus, or something paired with Nautilus, is going to be the leader of your choice. So you need to find dark coverage, and Freya tends to be the best option because she at least gives you an attack buff, gives you an RCV buff, which is helpful, the RCV buff especially, gives you 4 skill boosts plus 2 turns of haste, So she does potentially fill that role a bit better. She also provides Rose, which makes everyone hit harder. She does have VDP, so her damage isn't wasted. Perseus does not have VDP, so all this massive amounts of damage just kind of gets whiffed and wasted against Void spawns. Obviously, if you're playing through content that does not have large tanky Void spawns, this can be a viable option. He can double damage cap with relative ease, I'd say, because double 10 combo on a large attack stack will hit hard, but you just need to be mindful of the fact that his base active doesn't counter mechanics. The low base cooldown and the fact that he can use 8 latent slots helps give you double damage cap and 2 SDRs, and you can inherit a meaningful active skill on top of it. Say you want to bring like a big delay, then you can delay and then you have a good time. But I just feel like it's a little bit on the awkward side. I only really truly considered if I need dark coverage, I feel, for your mono wood teams, and that's really the extent of it at this point in time, I feel. Next is Xero Core, and Xero Core in his wood form I think is just awkward. Like, he does have immense amounts of personal damage, and he does bolster the damage output of wood cards, but it's kind of a weird mix of awakenings. He wants to match lots of wood combos, but he also needs to match 4 or more attributes. Kind of a weird mix. It doesn't really play well of itself. Rainbow teams don't really want to do that necessarily, so some of these awakenings are just going to go to waste, unfortunately. And his active skill gives you 10 turns of no Skyfalls. A self penalty of no Skyfalls. The effect better be amazing, but sadly the effect isn't. It's only 2 turns of bypassing Void, damage Void. Sure, it's an 8-turn cooldown, but Akkine does this job much better. She gives you more skill boost, and while her personal damage is lacking, she does give a super resist of your choice, so you may not necessarily want his jam resist, but her active skill is better. It gives you a full board changer. It doesn't give you no Skyfalls. It also gives you 50% damage reduction, which is needed for Shura 3 because you want to tank Hexazion's big hit when he goes below half health. She also gives you that board changer, so in case you're orb trolled, you have that. Her active skill charges up due to skill charge. I just feel like he doesn't fit any role that well overall. Like, I don't really foresee myself using him over other options for my rainbow teams, like green coverage, Sloth, or Amelia from one of the gung-ho events tend to be just stronger wood coverage, so I just feel like it's a bit awkward, and it's quite a bit of effort to make because you have to get that rare invade. And then for their green weapon assist, it gives you a skill boost and 60% poison resist with 20% blind resist, and that's okay. Like, not amazing, it's okay. It gives you that same active skill that I just established wasn't that great, but at the same time, this is quite a high investment. This is a 7-star Godfest exclusive. It should be doing more, considering the fact that the green Samurai 3 weapon, which is incredibly old, does almost the exact same thing, because we don't really probably care for the active skill, and the green Samurai 3 weapon gives you a skill boost and 4 poison resist. So 80% versus 60% plus a blind. Pretty close overall. I just feel like it's not really providing much value. On the other hand, his light form gives you movement time, gives you super poison resist, always helpful, and large amounts of personal damage when he has the 4 3 attribute awakenings. He can hit significant amounts of damage with a monstrous attack stat. He gets 8 latent slots, great candidate for the double damage cap. His low base cooldown is helpful because you can inherit something of value over top of it, whether it's delay, haste, or even leader swapping if you want to play on 7x6. It is all perfectly achievable. The active skill on the 6-turn cooldown gives you a board unlock and changes the whole board to all 5 colors and hearts on a 6-turn cooldown, which is okay. And then if you're below 50% health, you get 1 turn of damage absorb cancellation. I've already established earlier that 1 turn of damage absorb cancellation is not sufficient for current endgame content like Mystic Dimensions and Shura 3. They need at least 2 turns, maybe 3 if you're really hungering for Mystic Dimensions, just to give yourself a bit more leeway. So it's just going to be a glorified 6-turn cooldown for a board changer, unless you're playing stuff like, say, Shura 1 or below, etc. Like, then those 1 turns of absorb could possibly be meaningful, but I just feel like it's a little unfortunate. Like, obviously, if it was 2 turns, the active skill would have to be much longer cooldown, which I guess is not their goal. As a leader, you need to use dragon and attacker types, which is great because Swimsuit Mariel loves to utilize those, so it's a possible viable pairing. And you have solid bulk, you get bonus combos. Like, it does work, but I feel like Swimsuit Mariel does just pair better with Sakuya because Sakuya gives you the auto follow attack instead of just more combos from Mariel. Like, more combos is nice, but it's probably not going to be needed if you can't auto follow attack with relative ease. So it's not to say it's bad. I just feel like Sakuya Mariel is going to be better than core Mariel or core Sakuya if you want to keep that auto follow attack, because Mariel just has a much stronger base active skill by comparison, and they just keep looping. If you have at least a friend and your sub, you can loop and chain their active skills for much more happiness. The weapon assist gives you a skill boost and 60% blind resist. Again, it's so similar to the Samurai 3s, and the active skill is just not something that's reliable enough, and as a result, I don't feel like it's worth pursuing. So if anything, I would make Light Xero Core definitely a strong rainbow card overall. We're also going to be receiving a new Descend in the near future. I'll release some sort of video of me playing through it at that point in time. The Halloween Rare Egg Machine will return on time, which is kind of spooky, but what's scarier is actually a sand castle event in October, because who doesn't want to go to the beach when we're in Halloween costumes and in pouring rain and near sub-zero temperatures? In addition to this, will be having a 10 Magic Stone Super Godfest that will have all the non-transforming cards come out at level 100, which means you save a single Super Snow Globe. Whether or not this event is going to be good or bad will all depend on the rolling rates and lineup, and again, when that event does go live, I will make a subsequent video just informing you whether or not it's actually a meaningful event to roll in. Mystic and Spectres will return with various buffs and new cards. Cool, it will happen at some point. If you haven't rolled before, it does have value, especially if you never have beforehand. You can collect brand new cards because it's a separate rare egg machine, and the bottom rarity does potentially fill in holes that you may not necessarily be able to cover otherwise. We'll be getting version 19.5 soon. Again, when that goes live, I'll make a little bit more of a heads up on it. And then we'll be having the 9th anniversary for North American server, which will probably result in lots of free goodies. And for the most part, this video may not necessarily go into too much detail. It's just giving you an idea of what's to come. When these events do get released, I will provide more information at that point in time. Finally, we have better box searching capabilities. We can now search by like the Pantheon titles, such as like, say, like Chinese Celestials or whatnot. You search through Gung-Ho owned events, so you could type in heroine and all the heroine cards will come up. Seasonal events, say beach or Halloween, etc. Similar idea, along with Fest exclusives. So as a whole, pretty exciting stuff overall. And with that being said, let me know what you think about all these events in the comments down below. Which of these things are you most excited for? And for the new evolutions, which one do you feel like you'd be pursuing for first, at least? Hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.